Let's get one thing straight from the top. This isn't about playing games, being the cool girl, or twisting yourself into a pretzel to be what he wants. This is about waking up to your power. Because the truth is, you don't win a man by being the most available, the most agreeable, or the most attractive in the room. You win by being unforgettable. You win by making him feel something he can't feel with anyone else. And no, I'm not talking about looks. I'm talking about presence, value, connection. The kind of woman who doesn't need to be chosen because she already knows her worth. And that magnetic confidence, that's what makes him choose you. Not once, not twice, but every single day. So let's get into it. Let's talk about how to stop competing and start becoming the woman who naturally stands out. No comparison, no contest. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to beg to be chosen. In fact, the more you lower your standards, the less likely it is that someone will truly see your worth. It's so easy to fall into the trap of feeling like you have to convince someone to be with you, to show them that you're deserving of their time, affection. But the truth is, when you lower your standards, you end up with relationships that drain you, that make you question your value and ultimately leave you unfulfilled. You end up compromising parts of yourself to meet someone else's expectations, and in the end, you're left with nothing but frustration and self-doubt. Raising your standards isn't about demanding perfection. It's about aligning yourself with the kind of relationship you truly want and deserve, not settling for something that only partially meets your needs. When you raise your standards, you set a clear boundary around your worth and what you're willing to accept. This isn't about arrogance. It's about self-respect. When you truly understand your value, you stop wasting your energy on people who don't see it. You stop trying to prove that you're enough and start attracting those who already understand that you are. This doesn't mean you should become cold, distant, or unattainable. Raising your standards is about knowing what you need in a relationship and being uncompromising about getting it. It's about recognizing that you are worthy of love, commitment, and respect, and that you don't have to prove that to anyone. When you lower your standards, you allow people into your life who might not have the same level of respect for you, who might not appreciate what you bring to the table. And even if they seem to show interest at first, they will eventually realize that you're not willing to hold them to the same high standards they hold themselves to, which in turn will make them take you for granted. Setting high standards is an act of self-love, not selfishness. It's a reflection of your belief in your own worth. It's about not allowing anyone into your space who is going to make you feel less than, who won't treat you with the kindness, honesty, and integrity you deserve. When you don't demand these things for yourself, you're teaching others that it's okay to treat you however they see fit. You're teaching them that it's okay to give you scraps when you deserve the full meal. But when you hold firm to your standards, you force people to step up to meet them, and that's when you attract the right kind of energy into your life. You can't control how others treat you, but you can control the standards you set for how you allow others to treat you. And by raising those standards, you elevate the entire energy of your life. People who aren't willing to meet those standards will naturally fall away. And that's not a loss, it's a gain. You're clearing space for people who truly value you and are capable of meeting your needs. But in order to do this, you have to be clear on what those needs are in the first place. What are your deal breakers? What are the qualities you need in a partner? What's the bare minimum of respect, communication, and love that you expect in a relationship? Once you get clear on those things, raising your standards becomes a natural process. Many people settle for relationships that don't fulfill them simply because they're afraid of being alone or feel pressure to be in a relationship. But when you lower your standards, you're inviting unnecessary drama and disappointment into your life. You're choosing temporary validation over long-term fulfillment. When you raise your standards, you make room for a relationship that meets you at your level and allows you both to grow together. The key is to first recognize your own worth. When you understand that you're deserving of a deep, authentic connection, you stop accepting the bare minimum. You stop accepting inconsistency, dishonesty, or emotional unavailability. Raising your standards also means knowing your own worth outside of a relationship. It's about being comfortable with who you are and what you bring to the table, whether or not someone else validates it. When you raise your standards, you don't need someone else to complete you or make you feel whole. You become a magnet for the kind of love and attention that is in alignment with your personal values and desires. And when you attract the right kind of partner into your life, you'll find that the relationship is naturally more fulfilling, more balanced, and ultimately more rewarding. So often people mistake being selective with being picky, but they're not the same thing. Raising your standards is about having clear expectations for yourself and others, and knowing that you're not going to settle for anything less than you deserve. It's about recognizing that you are enough, and because you're enough, you deserve a partner who also sees your worth and is willing to put in the effort to meet your standards. Raising your standards isn't about being demanding or unreasonable. It's about protecting your energy, setting a foundation for healthy relationships, and making sure that the love you receive is worthy of your time, attention, and heart. It's about knowing your worth and not being afraid to walk away from anything that doesn't align with that truth. Being the prize is a mindset, a presence, a quiet confidence that radiates from within. It's not about manipulation, chasing, or trying to prove your worth to someone else. It's about understanding that you already have value and not placing yourself in a position where you have to convince someone to see it. The moment you start pursuing someone to the point where you're the one doing all the emotional labor, all the initiating, all the proving, you shift the dynamic and you go from being desired to becoming the one seeking validation. And that shift can be subtle at first, but over time it undermines your power. When you act like the prize, you hold a certain energy that says, I'm whole on my own, but I'd love to share this with the right person. It's not arrogance, it's grace. It's knowing that a meaningful connection should be mutual, not one-sided. You don't chase someone into valuing you. You inspire their interest by showing up as the best version of yourself and by refusing to settle for less than you deserve. The chase, when it happens, should be reciprocal. It should be about two people leaning in, not one person running while the other tries to catch up. Being the prize doesn't mean sitting around passively waiting for someone to do all the work. It means being intentional with your energy. It means showing interest without desperation, creating space for someone to pursue without overwhelming them, and allowing them the opportunity to earn your trust and access to your heart. You don't hand over your emotional availability like a clearance sale. You protect it, not out of fear, but out of self-respect. You know that your time, attention, and affection are valuable, and not everyone gets a front row seat to that. When you shift your mindset from how do I get him to like me to is he worthy of me, everything changes. You stop chasing validation and you start assessing compatibility. You're not looking to fill a void. You're evaluating whether this person adds value to your already full life. That switch in energy is powerful. It naturally attracts people who are serious, intentional, and ready to meet you where you are. It filters out those who are looking to play games or keep things casual when you want something deeper. Part of being the prize is also setting boundaries and sticking to them. You're not afraid to walk away if someone disrespects your standards. You know that walking away doesn't mean you lose them, it means you choose you. And that choice sends a loud, unspoken message. I don't need you to validate me. I choose myself first. always. That kind of self-honor is magnetic. It challenges others to either rise to meet you or step aside for someone who will. You stop being the woman who settles for breadcrumbs and become the one who holds out for the full course meal. And not because she can't get love, but because she knows she's worth real love. Being the prize also means you cultivate a life that you genuinely enjoy. You invest in your passions, your goals, your friendships, your growth. You don't wait around for relationship to complete you. You already feel complete. And when someone steps into your life, they're not rescuing you from loneliness or boredom. They're enhancing a life that's already beautiful. That's the energy that shifts everything. You're not trying to be chosen, you're choosing, you're discerning, you're intentional. There's a difference between desire and desperation. Desire says, I'd love to get to know you. Let's see where this goes. Desperation says, please choose me so I can feel good about myself. One is powerful, the other is exhausting. When you act like the prize, you move with desire, not desperation. You hold yourself to a higher standard, not just in who you let in, but in how you carry yourself. You value your own heart so deeply that you won't offer it up to someone who hasn't shown they can handle it with care. You're not here to compete with other women. You're here to be so rooted in your identity, your essence, your magic, that comparison becomes irrelevant. When you embody the prize energy, you don't fear other women, you celebrate them, because you know that what you bring to the table is unique. No one else can be you. And the right person, he'll see that. He'll feel it. And if he doesn't, then he was never your person to begin with. Pursuing someone who isn't pursuing you back is emotionally exhausting, it's draining, and it's a signal that your energy is being misplaced. But when you reclaim your energy and shift your focus back onto you, something incredible happens. You become more radiant, more grounded, more attractive, not just physically, but energetically. You're not trying to earn love. You're living in a way that naturally attracts it. And when love does come, it will come with ease, not struggle. It will come with clarity, not confusion. It will come because you weren't afraid to sit still and be seen as the prize you truly are. Emotional contrast is the difference between a connection that lingers in someone's mind and one that fades into the background. It's not about being the loudest, the most dramatic, or the most exciting. It's about creating a layered emotional experience that leaves a mark. A man might meet 10 beautiful women in a week, but the one he keeps thinking about is the one who made him feel something different. Something deeper. When every interaction feels the same, people start to blur together. But when someone gives you a feeling you can't quite explain, that's when you can't forget them. Emotional contrast is the art of being unpredictable in the most authentic way, showing light and depth, joy and seriousness, warmth and strength. It's about offering something that no one else is offering and doing it effortlessly just by being in touch with your own emotional range. This doesn't mean you become someone you're not. It means you stop hiding parts of yourself just to be easy to like. A lot of people try to present a polished version of themselves when dating. They're always agreeable, always cheerful, always putting their best foot forward. But that's not memorable. It's safe. And safe doesn't leave a lasting impression. The woman who's not afraid to show a little fire, who can laugh deeply but also speak her truth when something doesn't sit right, who can be playful but also grounded, that's the woman who stands out. Emotional contrast is about inviting someone into the full spectrum of who you are without apologizing for it. Emotional contrast is the difference between a connection that lingers in someone's mind and one that fades into the background. It's not about being the loudest, the most dramatic, or the most exciting. It's about creating a layered emotional experience that leaves a mark. A man might meet 10 beautiful women in a week, but the one he keeps thinking about is the one who made him feel something different, something deeper. It means you stop hiding parts of yourself just to be easy to like. A lot of people try to present a polished version of themselves when dating. They're always agreeable, always cheerful, always putting their best foot forward. But that's not memorable, it's safe. And safe doesn't leave a lasting impression. The woman who's not afraid to show a little fire, who can laugh deeply but also speak her truth when something doesn't sit right, who can be playful when something doesn't sit right, who can be plain when something doesn't sit right, who can be playful when something doesn't sit right, who can be plain when something doesn't sit right, who can be plain when something doesn't sit right, who can be plain when something doesn't sit right, who can be plain when something doesn't sit right, who can be plain when something doesn't sit right, who can be plain when something doesn't sit right, who can be plain when something doesn't sit right, who can be plain when something doesn't sit right, who can be plain between someone feeling entertained by you and someone feeling emotionally stirred by you. When you're not afraid to challenge him, call him out with a smile, make him laugh, share a vulnerable story, hold eye contact a second longer than usual. That's when you're creating contrast. You're not giving him what every other woman is giving. You're creating a shift in his emotional state. He starts associating you with a unique experience, one that he's not getting anywhere else. Many women get stuck in the loop of being nice, thinking that being agreeable will make them more likable. But being likable isn't the same as being unforgettable. You can be kind and still have boundaries. You can be soft and still have an edge. You can be open-hearted and still call someone out when they cross the line. When you blend warmth with strength, lightness with depth, playfulness with presence, that's emotional contrast. That's what keeps him leaning in, wanting more, wondering what you'll show him next. Men don't fall in love with a checklist. They fall in love with a feeling. And if all you're doing is trying to be enough on paper, pretty enough, smart enough, fun enough, you miss the whole point. The goal isn't to be what he wants. The goal is to express yourself fully so that the right man recognizes something in you that he doesn't see in anyone else. That recognition comes from emotion, not logic. Emotional contrast keeps him on his toes, not in a manipulative way. You'd have to be willing to be real, to bring your full self to the table, to let him see your sass and your sweetness, your ambition and your vulnerability. Let him experience you in layers. Let there be moments of light, playful teasing followed by moments of raw, grounded truth. Let him feel your fire when something matters to you. Let him see your tenderness when you talk about something that hits close to home. That mix is what sets you apart. That balance is what keeps a man emotionally invested. The most memorable connections don't come from perfection, they come from presence. They come from people who are fully alive in their truth, who show up unapologetically, who let their energy shift and evolve naturally. When you create emotional contrast, you create a journey. You let him feel different versions of you that all come from the same core. He doesn't know what to expect next, but he knows he wants more of it. That pull, that emotional gravity, is what elevates you above the noise. You said competing with other women for a man's attention is a game you win by not playing. The moment you start seeing yourself as one of many, you start acting like one of many. Your energy shifts. You start adjusting, comparing, doubting, calculating your every move based on what someone else might be doing. But when you elevate, you stop trying to be better than her and start focusing on being fully and authentically you. There's something magnetic about a woman who doesn't flinch when someone else walks into the room. She doesn't need to side-eye or compete. She already knows what she brings. Her confidence doesn't come from being the only option. It comes from knowing she's the right option for the right person. When you operate from a space of elevation instead of competition, everything about your presence changes. You speak with clarity. You move with purpose. A woman who elevates doesn't worry about being chosen. She's too busy choosing herself every single day. She doesn't mold herself into what she thinks a man wants. She defines her standards and lets those standards act as her filter. If someone isn't showing up fully, she doesn't beg them to stay. She simply makes space for someone who will. That quiet power, that unwavering sense of self, it's irresistible. And not just because it's rare, but because it's real. There's a difference between attention and attraction. Competing often gets you attention, but elevation gets you real attraction. The kind that goes beyond looks or status. The kind that's built on how someone feels in your presence. When you're constantly watching what other women are doing, you're playing a game of reaction. You're not creating from your own energy. But when you elevate, you shift from reaction to intention. You become a creator.